For Comedy Hype News, I'm Symphony Thompson. In the mid-1980s, rap and hip-hop would hit all new heights, with the genre birthing several superstars, including Run DMC, NWA, Ice Cube, Queen Latifah, Will Smith, LL Cool J, and many more. All of these MCs were able to push rap music forward, and several of them were able to even greater success outside of hip-hop. Beginning in the 90s, Ice Cube and Queen Latifah would showcase their acting chops in projects like Boys in the Hood, Friday, and Living Single. It didn't take long for show business executives to notice that a hip-hop star at the center of TV and film could result in a commercially success vehicle. After all the success Ice Cube and Queen Latifah achieved, it would only make sense for Hollywood to attempt to duplicate that formula and try and get similar results with other popular artists. Will Smith and LL Cool J were two other hip-hop titans at the top of their field, but would ultimately transition into acting, where they became even more recognizable. Looking at both their careers, they have more similarities than differences. At first, one could make the assumption that LL saw the success Smith reached with his sitcom and movies that followed, and decided to make that same leap. However, instead of finding major success in film like Smith, LL's biggest acting role would come in television with NCIS. Comparisons of the two would be made throughout both of their careers. Even though LL was the bigger rap star, some wonder how Will Smith was able to eclipse LL Cool J as an actor despite him having an earlier start. Until you find out, this was all done by design. LL's debut studio album was released in 1985, the same year he made his film debut, playing himself in Krush Groove. Between 1987 and 1995, he would release 5 more albums, with each one earning critical and commercial success. In between this time, LL would have made small roles in movies like Wildcats, where he would play a rapper, The Hard Way, and Toys. With several albums and film roles under his belt so early in his career, it was obvious LL was interested in becoming a multi-hyphenate. Smith, on the other hand, released his first album under his Fresh Prince moniker in 1987. The rap styles between the two couldn't have been more different, with LL's music being categorized as hard-hitting and street, while the Fresh Prince's music relied on a light-hearted storytelling with an absence of profanity. The Parents Just Don't Understand rapper would release 3 albums before he made his acting debut on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air in September of 1990. The show quickly became a hit and would establish Smith as one of the top sitcom talents. Smith wouldn't make his big screen debut until several years into The Fresh Prince, his first role being 1992's Where the Day Takes You. Smith's film career would begin to pick up steam the following year with 2 more films, Made in America and 6 Degrees of Separation. By then, it was clear Smith favored movie stardom over television, as his transition to becoming a blockbuster box office draw with Bad Boys released in 1995. He would further cement his status as a bankable star in 1996's Independence Day, the same year The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air went off air. When In the House premiered on NBC on April 10th of 1995, comparisons towards The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air were evident. The show follows former football star played by LL having to rent out rooms in his home to a newly divorced single mother and her 2 children. The premise of a fish out of the water going from rags to riches were the biggest similarities between the 2 shows. The network did itself no favors by placing the new show right behind the Will Smith-led sitcom on Monday nights at 8:30. Critics would pan In the House for its inability to deliver consistent laughs compared to its counterparts, as well as the acting of LL. Back in 1998, while promoting Enemy of the State, Smith spoke to MTV News, where he revealed he gave some acting advice to LL. Smith said, "LL and I have been talking a lot, and I keep saying, be James Todd Smith in the movies, don't be LL Cool J in the movies. Just a complete separate persona. He's kinda inching there. He doesn't want to give up the credibility with the music because the music is the first love. But I keep saying, just be a completely different person in the roles. Interestingly enough, just 2 years prior, in an interview with the Los Angeles Times, LL would speak on potentially losing credibility in hip hop when crossing over into acting. From LL's standpoint, there may have been a certain group of people concerned when he made the jump from music to TV and film. However, LL expressed he's not concerned with that audience. A person who just listens to rap records might think, oh, LL's doing a TV show and he's going to lose his street credibility. But a person who is a part of hip hop culture would say, oh, LL's hustling, he's expanding, he's moving on even more, and that's good. It's the difference between a critic listening to a rap record and a person who is understanding and living hip hop culture. Fashion designers Tommy Hilfiger and Donna Karan may not be from the streets, but their clothes have street credibility. It's the culture that gives you the credibility. During In the House, LL had roles in several cult classics like Baps and Woo, while also having larger roles in box office victories like Deep Blue Sea and Any Given Sunday. Just like Will Smith's trajectory, LL began film success just when his sitcom was ending. Perhaps LL's most notable movie roles came right after In the House. Although LL would never become a blockbuster star like Smith, movies like Kingdom Come, Deliver Us from Eva, and Last Holiday remain culturally relevant and fan favorites among the Black community. This string of LL Cool J movies can be compared to Smith's early run in film throughout the late 90s and 2000s. While LL mostly participated in films with predominantly Black casts, he also mainly focused on romantic comedies. Smith, on the other hand, made it his mission to become the #1 actor in the world. That meant choosing his films wisely and using a criteria to make sure the movie would become profitable. Some of that criteria including picking a movie where Smith would save the world, whether it be from aliens, monsters, robots, or any other apocalyptic threat. Smith did his research and knew these kinds of movies were the most successful. Not only that, but he knew these movies were typically released on 4th of July weekend and created a plan to make sure the movies he starred in would fit this mold. Unfortunately, the romantic comedies and Black films LL chose couldn't possibly compete with the summer action adventure movies Smith was releasing at the time. Both of their music careers didn't seem to take a hit the more films they took part in. Smith would start his solo career in 1997 and would release 3 more projects by 2005. Meanwhile, LL would continue to release studio albums at a steady pace in between movies up until 2013. In 2009, LL would book one of his most noteworthy roles in his career, Special Agent Sam Hanna in NCIS Los Angeles. LL would spend a total of 14 seasons as part of the main cast between 2009 and 2023. He would even reprise his role in the spin-off series NCIS Hawaii, appearing in 3 episodes in 2023 and 2024. NCIS introduced LL to an entirely new audience, and because he spent such a long time on the series, some younger fans know more about him in his role on NCIS than in his music. Much like now fans of Will Smith recognize him from movies than his days of Fresh Prince. Now, hip-hop stars transitioning into TV and film acting just doesn't seem like the norm, but it's almost expected, as many more rappers have followed in the footsteps of Ice Cube, Tupac, Queen Latifah, Will, and LL. Some artists like Drake have done the exact opposite, starting in TV, then going into music. In the end, it would seem like Will Smith made deliberate choices when selecting his movie projects that would ensure he become one of the most successful actors in history. LL, a successful actor in his own right, seems to be content with the roles he's chosen, as being the biggest movie star in the world just wasn't his concern. Stay up to date with the latest news and comedy by subscribing here to our YouTube channel. Check out Hypers Club for all your cool and original merchandise. And for our YouTube viewers, if you like this story, send us a super thanks by hitting the button below, and you can tip us what you want to show your support. For Comedy Hype News, I'm Symphony Thompson.